So slowly it would look like something like this. The idea is like it's going to sound just as good as anything else in that A minor Bach scale, but what you want to do is you want to kind of spice up your playing by adding notes that aren't necessarily in that particular scale. So instead of sounding like you're reading a scale out of a book, you can kind of use just any old note that, isn't in that scale, and if you glide over it quickly enough, it just makes your thing sound interesting, and it doesn't sound like a mistake. So, like, basically, I'm just playing with those extra notes, so it's not necessarily in your A Bach scale, but sounds kind of cool like that. So if you go... you can add that note in there. I mean, basically, all notes are cool. So the idea is to always see that Bach scale in your mind and know that you probably want to end up on a note that's in that scale. But make a bunch of patterns yourself and take the patterns and add weird notes into them like I just did. So the first example would be this one. Which takes you normally to a very basic note, which is the root note A right there. So that would be one thing to do. Okay, with the same idea of what I was saying before about staying in the A minor, blues. It doesn't have to be minor. I try to... not always think A minor and major are separate all the time. I like to mix them both together whenever possible. So with that same idea of visualizing that A box, what we want to do is add some other notes to that. Okay, so... So this could be a very typical blues phrase, but if you break it down, it's got all kinds of notes that aren't in your blues scale. If you stay too much in that blues scale, too much without like branching out of it, it kind of gives you that kind of hippie sound, which is cool if you like hippie music, but to make it sound a little bit more interesting, you just got to try any other note that's in there. So that one example I just showed you. Okay, the idea is to, instead of seeing everything into one big scale that you just go up and down, the idea is to like put little chords and little chromatic runs within what's kind of loosely termed the A Bach scale. So we're going to wind up being still in A like in the other passages, but this time we're going to play a few arpeggios and a few chromatic type of runs within the same thing. So follow me here. So the idea with that is I'll play it really slow now. Right now, if you take the beginning of it, very major pentatonic sounding thing. It's very normal up to there. That's where it gets a little bit more interesting. It's chromatic, and it kind of takes you out of that pentatonic feel for a second. So you go. Then you get chromatic again. And the reason you do this is because it makes it easier to do this little chord here. So you go. that's the type of thing that when I hear like in a solo, I get impressed by, because it sounds like every little thing gets chosen rather than just like playing straight up and straight down. Every little pattern has like its own little, it's like a little trip, like a little journey within it's hard to explain this, especially because I haven't talked guitar stuff in English in like 3 years. But anyway, break out of your normal scales by like always remembering where they are and where you're going to intend on winding up at the end, but trying to break out by little chords, little arpeggios, little chromatic runs, and a lot of your basic stuff. That's basic, but then you go, sorry. Just for a second, you break it out and do some weird stuff. So just kind of break out from the normal stuff and try any note, and you'll be surprised that almost every note is going to sound pretty cool.